Hi, this is Steve and Taryn here. We wanted to come and give you the top 10 questions that we get for new home buyers.
We know that it's really a hot market right now, and we want to make sure our buyers are set up for success here in our area, so we thought it would be really important for us to connect and give you some answers to some questions that we get as we're working with different buyers here in the field.
Yeah, so one of the main questions that we get a lot is now a good time to buy a house?
So yes, it is a great time to buy a house. People are worried about a crash, or they're worried about values going up, or trying to find a house. If it is right for you and your family now is a great time. We're still seeing some good home values that are out there, homes you can find. Get a good broker will be able to find you a house if you have a good broker and a good lender team.
So what is the first step to the home buying process?
So the first step is you really need to connect with your lender. Have that as it's just that key component in your team, because you need to know what is the loan type that I should have, what matches my circumstances, and really what can I afford, and if I found the perfect house, if I need to stretch, hey, what does that look like? And so you really are set up for financial success. So again, it's really important.
Nice.
So Taryn, a question I get is, once we found a house, how long does the process take?
Yeah, so on the financing side of it, basically a typical loan will take around 30 to 45 days depending on the property. So normally, you get your offer accepted, and then that's when your actual financing starts to go to work and starts getting your file together. So like I said, typically we're looking at 30 days depending on the property or where you're located. Sometimes it could go into 45 days, but average is 30.
Okay. Are you seeing an issue with trying to get appraisals done on time?
So yes, that is something that comes up because there is such a high demand, not only with purchases and refinances going on right now in the market. Sometimes that can take some time. That's why you want to make sure you give yourself that 30 days. But typically within that 30-day period, you should be able to get your appraisal back and be able to proceed with closing the transaction.
Awesome.
So the next question I get is, what does a broker do in the process?
Ooh, so we get to do the fun part.
Yes,
we get to go out and look at houses. Yeah, just it's really a lot of fun.
Yes.
To be able to match the buyer with the house. Again, how do people decorate, or how are the houses staged? But really being able to see, hey, does this house fit your family's needs?
Right.
So that's really the fun part.
Yeah, for sure. It's way more fun than finding it.
So then we also of course, once we see it, we help negotiate those financial terms that we know is right for you, and that really matches the house. And talking to the other broker on the other side, and really work to sell you and get the deal done.
Yeah. Okay, so what role does the loan officer play in the home buying process?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do get that question as well. So Taryn, why?
So
what role does the loan officer play?
Right. As far as the loan officer is concerned, we're just doing the financing portion of the transaction. So we don't get the fun part of going and finding the home. We get all the numbers and the that type of stuff, budgeting. So basically what we do is we pre-approve our buyers, and we make sure that all the documents we need to back up what they're qualified for are submitted, reviewed, and they are ready to go out there and put in a strong offer to get it accepted. We also know that having somebody pre-underwritten is always a good thing, because especially in this market, everything moves so quickly. So we try to pre-underwrite everybody, and what that means is basically we get all their documents up front, we package it up in a little deal, and we underwrite the person. And then that way when they do find their property, they can go in and just plug the property in, and it makes the whole process a lot smoother. So basically our job is to get that budget together, make sure we can get the deal done, and just kind of help walk along the way and hold the hand, because it is kind of a confusing process, that's for sure.
Yeah, because we definitely see that teamwork. We know how to structure the offer and structure the contract based on the discussion that you have with the lender, and Taryn has set up for you financially. So I think it's just right.
And so the next question is, how much does a buyer pay a real estate agent?
Ooh. The buyer does not have to pay
Awesome.
for services of a real estate broker. It actually comes out of the seller and their net proceeds.
Yeah.
There are some unique situations that are out there. It all comes out of the seller and their net proceeds when they sell the house. They pay for my services as a buyer's agent.
Awesome. That's good for buyers.
It's great. So I know when I'm touring houses, Taryn, I get that question, what's the difference between down payment and closing costs?
Yeah, that's a good one. So basically there's two big, financing lump sums that come in when you're dealing with a loan. So the first part you have is a down payment. So a down payment is going to be how much you're putting down on the loan. So if you purchase a home for $400,000, but you're putting $100,000 down, that means now your loan amount is $300,000. So that means that you have to have that money, obviously, to bring to the closing table. And the difference between that and closing costs is closing costs are basically all of the fees that are accrued when you go and actually get a loan. So that's going to include things like your title, your escrow fees, homeowner's insurance, all that good stuff is kind of packaged into the closing costs. One thing a lot of people don't know is that closing costs are 95% made up of third-party fees. So they're actually really nothing that a lender has that much control over, and they should be pretty standard no matter where you go. So that's kind of the difference between the two. So when you do go out and get a home, you have to remember you have to have money for down payment and closing. So it's two big sums you have to have.
Two sides, two chunks of payment.
Exactly.
Okay.
So one other thing is, with that being said,
Yes.
how can somebody strengthen their offer in a market that's really hot?
So it does make a difference how you write the contract.
Right.
So that's a big deal of just how does the contract look when you are presenting it.
Yeah.
The other thing would be to have a good lender like yourself, and you will call the broker.
Yeah.
So the broker on the other side that's representing the seller, that they're called the cross agent. So when Taryn calls the cross agent, very helpful. They know, wow, okay, lender's on their side, you got a good broker, this has a great success in closing. Because we found highest doesn't always mean best. Can you get things closed
Exactly.
on a timely manner and in all sense? Sometimes you hear the term, oh man, should we include a 22AD?
Yeah.
So that's a MLS form. You know, the 22AD says, hey, I am willing to put in more of a down payment above the appraised value, because you go off the appraised value.
Yeah, you can only finance the appraised value. So
So if that appraised value is lower than the contract price, you're already promising ahead of time that says I will pay X amount of dollars over the appraised value. So that's AD, or additional down payment, is what that form is. So we're starting to, people are understanding what that is to try to get strength in the offer. So the seller knows there isn't any money left on the table,
Exactly.
because hey, I'm going to get over appraised value if it doesn't appraise.
yeah.
So if it doesn't, but I'm finding we're getting the appraisals.
Yeah.
So you
So
don't
then
need that
you don't
additional
need
down
that,
payment,
yeah.
but it's there as that little safety net that
Yeah.
people really appreciate. You kind of talked too about the loan type.
Yeah.
So like conventional loans,
Yep.
people seem to, there's extra overlays
Mhm.
in VA and FHA, kind of a little extra eye on the property that they
Right.
look at. Where
Mhm.
conventional,
A little more
the home can be maybe a little more bumpy.
Yep.
And be accepted. So we tend to see people like conventional over FHA in many cases.
Yeah.
But it really depends on the house and the lender.
Yeah.
So the house and the broker on the other side, what they like to work with.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but one thing I get a lot, and it's still out there, is they say, "Oh man, can I submit a love letter
Right.
to the seller?" And it kind of tells about the family, got pictures.
Yeah.
And really, you can't, because that is violation of fair housing.
Okay.
So you can't write those that aren't that. They look at the offer,
Yep.
even though we know, they want to see who are the people that are buying, and we want them to know
Yeah.
how much you appreciate the house. Those letters, those are letters of fair housing. You just can't. We love to tell that story. I love stories. And we're matching people and houses, and we love that. But fair housing says, what does the contract say? So that's why how the contract is structured and what that looks like when presenting and kind of that whole team approach, that's why it's so important.
Makes a big difference for sure.
Yep, it does. So I kind of talked about that loan type.
Yeah.
So what are the main types of loan programs that are offered?
Yeah, so typically there's 3 main loan types. There's FHA, VA, and conventional. FHA, I would say, is one of the most commonly used. And FHA and VA are both governmentally backed loans, whereas conventional is not. Typically with FHA and VA, you are allowed to have a smaller down payment, or with VA, no down payment. And typically the debt-to-income ratios and credit scores are more lenient, whereas conventional, most of the time you're going to have a little bit higher of a down payment. And also it's going to be a little more lenient on, like you were saying, with appraisals and stuff like that, because, you know, they have a little bit more of a less loan to value, less risk. So with that being said too, along with conventional, a lot of people, when they are going to accept offers as a seller, they think it looks a little bit more powerful because it seems as if the buyer has more liquid assets, because they have less of a risk. But again, no loan program is better or worse. They're all really good options. It just depends on what's going to work for the buyer and their family, and kind of what they qualify for.
So people, I get that a lot of, well, are the first time home buyer program.
Yeah.
But now we also have we know the well, let me ask you that. What's the importance of a home buying class that's offered?
Yeah, so basically I think the most important thing about a home buying class is really just to assess if you are ready to purchase a home. Because number one, you're going to get a lot of information that you probably didn't know because you haven't owned a home before. So you want to make sure you know how to handle what happens if a big ticket item like your furnace goes out or your roof has a leak. You know, how are you going to combat those? How much money should you have saved for things like that to happen when you are a homeowner? Because there's nobody you can call to fix it for you. You've got to do it on your own. So I think that also, another thing it is really good at is explaining the process. Since a home buying journey does involve a lot of people and a lot of hands, it's nice to be able to understand all of the parties involved. Because obviously there's a broker and there's a lender and there's also title and escrow, and so there's just a lot of hands in that whole process, and so it's nice to be able to understand when you're going through it, what you're going through, and who you're talking to. So paves the way, basically.
Yeah, and I've seen that if you kind of have that good foundation to really understand because there are so many more players that are involved in who pays what and what does that look like.
Yeah.
How's everybody protected in the process?
Exactly. And, you know, like you said, it's good to be able to have a team that works together, that you know when you are doing that, they're going to help explain those to you along the way. So you're not just writing out the process and wondering, wait, who am I talking to? It's nice to be able to know, hey, there's a team here to help me and they're going to hold my hand through the whole process. And that way I don't feel overwhelmed. Because no matter what way you slice it, buying a home is emotional because it's your home, it's where you're going to live, and it's a huge commitment, and it's the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your life. So you want to make sure that you have, you know, someone holding your hand through the whole thing and giving you their advice and knowledge to make sure that you can get where you want to be. So that's what we're here for.
It is, yes.
Well, if you want to join a home buyer's class, or you think that that might be something that you are interested in, please let us know. We both love to teach them, and we like to let everybody get knowledge that they can make their own decisions out in the market today and feel empowered. So, yeah.
Now is a great time to buy a house. So, hey, let's go hit the market.
Yeah.